Welcome to the Delaware Way. I'm Larry Menti. A declaration of disaster has been made for agriculture in Delaware out of Washington, D.C., but that's actually a good thing. Let's explain. Sean McKeon is the State Executive Director at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Delaware Farm Service Agency. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. What does it mean when there is a declaration of disaster?
Well, the Secretary looks at a lot of factors. In this case, recently, as most of you know, we had a lot of excess flooding early on in the spring and the summer. So a lot of the crops were either not able to be planted or were washed out. So the governor, the local FSA agents and people look at the circumstances on the ground and determine that a disaster declaration is warranted so that the farmers can get some relief for some of those crops that have been affected.
What does that mean for individual farmers? How would they go through the process?
Well, they would contact the FSA office, usually their county offices, Kent, Newcastle, or Sussex County FSA offices, and let us know that they'd lost a certain amount of crops. I think the threshold is a 30% loss of a crop or a combination of crops, and they'd be able to then apply for low-interest loans in addition to some of the programs that we already have in operation.
I know you watch this, and I understand how bad it was, just because when I go to the farmers market, for a long time they said, no, we don't have this, we don't have this, we don't have this, because of the rains. How bad was it?
I think it was pretty bad. From what I understand, and this is my first year at the helm in this particular role, from what I understand, the rains were pretty considerable this year, and a lot of places saw 9, 10, 11 inches of rain within days.
And that's not the only problem that farmers are having. They're also having a problem because of the increase in tariffs. And there's some relief for that as well?
Yeah, we have a marketing facilitation program that the President of the United States had requested Secretary Perdue look into and see what he could do to help with some immediate relief for farmers who are affected by illegal retaliatory actions by foreign governments. What some of them have done have taken actions designed specifically to hurt our agriculture department. So what we've done is we've designed a program. It's called the Marketing Facilitation Program. That's a three-pronged attack to address that situation. The first thing is they provided about $12.5 billion, and they'll be using that in three different ways. One, they'll be using that direct payments to farmers who've been affected. For example, soybeans is one of the biggest crops that would be affected by tariffs. One of our biggest markets was China. So China has put kind of a ban on that and really stopped importing those products from the United States.
A lot of soybeans in Delaware?
There are a lot of soybeans in Delaware. Thankfully, most of our soybeans we use here, we use in Delaware. We're a net importer, actually, of soybeans. But yeah, there's effect there. There's some corn crop, wheat crop, sorghum, and other products. So what this will do is provide, first, some immediate payments to the farmers. Second, the USDA, through programs already established, will be able to buy excess food products or excess products that are on the market. And third, they're going to be able to use some of the money that's been authorized for this program to do some additional marketing of our products in additional markets around the world. So it's an immediate impact. It's kind of a long-term impact, and hopefully it'll be short-lived. We'll have some access, some action on the tariff situation, and it'll be a program that won't have to be fully utilized. That's the hope.
It does seem like for the federal government, and it's not just in this administration, past administrations do as well, seem to help the agricultural industry much more than other industries. When there is a problem, for instance, with the tariffs, there are other industries being hit by this that don't get help, that don't get the money. We're not going to buy their goods, but we do it with agriculture. To explain why it's different when it comes to agriculture.
Well, I'm not really sure why it's entirely different, but I would say that I think there's a recognition that food supply, a healthy food supply, and knowing exactly where our food supply is coming from is a national security issue. So I think that people are aware of that. I think they're aware of the, I would say in the past few years, just kind of the precarious nature of the farming industry. It's been, even on a good day, it's been very difficult for farmers. A lot of issues, prices, I think weather has been a problem across the country. But I think there is a concern that when you are talking about farming communities, it's very, very widespread. It cuts across all sides of the aisle. It's not something that's specifically going to affect one side or the other side of the aisle, so it cuts across.
Yeah, I know, I understand that. It's interesting, and I agree with you, that you said it was a national security measure to make sure that the food supply is not disrupted, especially inside the country. For farmers, for people who are in agriculture who are interested in either of those programs, how do they get a hold of you?
They could call their FSA, that's the Farm Service Agency. They have county offices. We have one in Newcastle County. There's one in Kent County and also in Sussex County. We've got loan officers and people that can give them all of the intricate details about not just the disaster declaration for crops they may have lost due to weather early in the season, but right now we're signing people up for the market facilitation program as well.
And I would think it would behoove anybody that's been affected by either of those things to make those calls as quickly as possible.
Oh, yeah, and for no other reason, if you just want the information to see whether or not you're qualified, whether or not you've been affected, and if it's worth pursuing down those lines, the folks that work at FSA would be happy to walk them through it.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Sean McKeon is the State Executive Director at the USDA, the Delaware Farm Service Agency. When we come back, volunteers who help youth read, and they're looking for more volunteers. We'll talk about that when the Delaware Way continues.